So what's your most curious part of the story? Because I've done it all. So it was like 41 years. I was from when I was like 13 till I was 55. Thanksgiving was 5 years, the day before Thanksgiving. So it's nice. It's an easy day to remember. In ninth grade, I had already done drugs. Like my first drug was anhydrous morphine. They call it Paragoric. They give it to you for cough or something. It's morphine diluted in alcohol. Ninth grade. I mean, what am I, 15 now? So they showed this movie of drug addiction. How they showed you how to be a drug addict in this anti-drug movie that they're supposed to. My sister was a nurse. My friends were in the Navy, so they had access to like 2-and-all and second-all. And I went home and shot freaking barbiturates. That was like the first time I had stuck a needle on my arm. But I was smoking weed, drinking beer, and drinking cough syrup before that. But that movie was some sort of a gateway that I recognize. Plus hanging around with the wrong crowd, these Navy guys that were from around the world, they were already exposed to narcotics. Like that. Yeah, my first wife, the mother of my children, is wound up on drugs, setting the house on fire. My son emancipated himself and went back to our old community and moved in with his high school coach and played football. And my daughter's like 14 years old. I come home from fishing. She says, "Dad, Mom's gonna kill herself, burn the house down, or kill my dog." And so finally the light came on that there's neglect or abuse or whatever. So, and I had been saying for like 2 years, "Rhonda, get your shit together, get your shit together." And then finally my daughter had the nerve to say, "Dad, I'm very uncomfortable in this circumstance." And I had enough together to recognize it. Went and got divorced, got custody of my daughter. We went on, he said, "You are to stay with your daughter until she graduates high school." So we moved away. I gave my wife the house. She lost the house like 2 years later for not paying their mortgage insurance. And yeah. My daughter's always been in my life. And my son, he's a commercial fisherman like me, and he has a little substance abuse problem, and it's spooky for me to watch, because I say to him, I was you. I know you think you can just throw money at the family and everything's gonna go along, but it doesn't work like that. Best thing in life are not things. I got 4 grandchildren with him and this girl, and it's hard to watch him not. It's like my girlfriend used to say, it's like having a third person in the room. You know, you got the guy you married and the guy that is on drugs and tired from being out fishing for 8 days, and then you lose a day from resting, and then you lose that day from drinking and drugging, you know? It's hard. He's repeating my behavior, and it's freaking scary for me to watch. Oh, it's destructive. It's selfish destruction. Everybody that loves you gets hurt. You know, everyone. So your children get hurt because you're a non-participant. Your family wants to know. I mean, my sister used to say, what are we going to do about your drinking and drugging? Because I went to jail for 3 years for selling heroin. And I said, be glad I'm not a murderer. You know, you rationalize this shit. Because, yeah, whatever that child development thing, to the self-esteem, to the fear, to whatever, then you're caught in the throes of addiction, and you rationalize that there's no way out, and you find yourself in this comfortable position that you're just living for that escape. Unfortunately, I escaped through my art and chasing chicks, so, so it's the same escape. It's the same chemicals in the brain, but it's just directed in a more positive direction. I mean, it's all about chemicals of the mind. Endorphin, oxytocin, whatever. So that same feeling you get for being kind to someone is the same chemical. You know, you drink a coffee, you hang out with your girlfriend, you're smooching or whatever, the same chemicals. You know, you get that paycheck, the same chemical. The audience claps, same chemical. So artificially, you're looking for that reinforcement. And say marijuana's a mild euphoric. You know, heroin's the strongest euphoric. So people say, well, what's it like? I said, well, it's like having 3 beers and smoking half a joint. You know, it's like that, but 10 times more escapey. Once you get this, you can't bottle it up and hand it, you know, and know it works like a genie in a bottle. So my ministry of recovery, or whatever you want to call it, trying to get the word out that this is attainable, because you have this blocked addiction thing that my girlfriend said to me one day. She says, we got to do something about your methadone problem. And I looked at her. She said it was like daggers pointing at it. That's never going to happen, you know. This was like 12 years before I got sober, so the light hadn't started to come on yet. That it was possible. Big Pharma gets you by the short hairs, and you're almost like brainwashed by Big Pharma that you need this pain medication, and you get the chemistry of your brain gets altered, so you're dependent on this. It's not just a dependency psychological, it's a chemical dependency. And that's, so I was taking like 90 milligrams. Those are 10 milligram pills. And I started breaking pills in half with my doctor because I couldn't get into a dry out farm to do it structured with supervision, you know, a hospital, the poor person's hospital, you know. So I moved into a little trail house and started breaking pills in half. And my doctor said, nobody ever died from not sleeping. And that's the only side effect if you withdraw from this in moderation. So every like 8 days I break a pill in half. And in like 9 months I got down to 10 milligrams. And I couldn't cut that one pill loose. So for like 40 days I'm taking one pill, calling 30 dry out farms from Portland, Maine to New York City, trying to get an uninsured bed. And finally I got a political connection and my friend got me in somewhere. But I remember at the end of that 40 days, I'm taking one pill and realizing how much it's affecting my freaking shit. And I'm like, and I used to take 25 of these pills a day. Who was I? So that, whatever the gods put that 40 days in my lap, for me to have that recognition, how much this is affecting me. You know, I mean, I don't even take an ibuprofen because I feel it. Whether I'm hypersensitive or it's psychosomatic or placebo effect, that I'm like, I can feel the change somewhere. It's subtle, micro, incremental, but so I like that. And I got my leg smashed when I was like 24. So I'm having these operations. They're giving me these strong narcotics. So 25, you're really not that old, and your chemistry, the structural physiology of yourself is still developing. So I think part of that chemical imbalance of my brain chemistry was part of the addiction thing, and because it makes you seek that escaping behavior. It's like a perpetual motion thing. It's just vicious circle. For me, when I first got sober, I was mad. The same, I just didn't drink or do drugs. I was still struggling with emotional instability, acting out, painting murals on the bicycle path, 30 days in jail, $500 fine for vandalism, you know. And now these walls scream to me they want to be painted on, and it's a crime. And so my sister says, why don't you just paint it on plywood, and we can put it on the roof of the car and drive it around, and you don't get arrested. So that next installation with the Barbies was, I did it on a piece of plywood cut in half. Barbies in the car wash. I mean, it was nothing like the smell of fresh washed Barbies in the morning. It's from Apocalypse Now, the movie, when he says the thing about the Tom Robert Duvall. This is me directing traffic at the Rhythm and Roots Festival. So you see, I'm multifaceted madman. Everybody thinks you make art to sell and earn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that do that, but I do it because it's who I am, and it's therapeutic value of using up. You get 8 hours a day handed to you when you quit drinking and doing drugs. So if you don't have an outlet, like weightlifting, for one example, running, making art, taking care of your honeybees in your yard. I mean, if you don't have a hobby to use up that time, the recidivism rate is like 86%. You think you got this, and the thing comes up and bites you in the foot because your dog died, or your car crashed, or you got a flat tire. The slightest antecedent can push you. So I repurpose stuff. I find gloves on the street and turn them into talisman bags and all things like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I do. Surrounding myself with people that were in recovery, because it's like you can look at someone and you don't know if they're a murderer or a drug addict. So if you're in a pod of people seeking recovery, there's a reflective positive influence from being in that. I mean, like Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous are good tools that are available to us. You know, psychiatry, counseling, and those two clubs. I lost my driver's license like 15 years ago, and I thought I had to get it back, but they want $11,000, and it might as well be $1 million. And I just adapted to public transit and my few assets that drive me around, and yeah, I just adapted. I mean, that's the biggest obstacle I've overcome, is the freedom of driving. But then my carbon footprint's smaller. So whether that's a rationalization thinking or a comfort way of thinking, well, my footprint's smaller, I've adapted, I'm comfortable, I'm not supporting Mr. Oil's freaking dividend check, that sort of thing. So it's a little of both, rationalization and trying to do my little bit contribution to the environment. The only part that kind of spooks me is how time is so precious. And when you're young and invincible and rocking, you don't realize how precious your time. And so when you've been out, when you've lost 40 years of substance abuse, and you're my age, 61 years old, time becomes precious, and how you treat people and all that, just relearning everything about who you really are. You're born pure, and then whatever in your childhood development changes your personality. You know, your wonder years, say 5 to 15, where chemistry and everything of the human body and external and societal influence makes you who you are. You know, your parenting and that stuff. But they call it a spiritual awakening, but it's some divine intervention that brings you to peace, that your self-esteem, your confidence, and you just have more faith in yourself. Like, faith rules the day at my house. I know things will work out. I'm frugal, so I have a safety net, so I can go to the Caribbean for my 6 weeks, and that's what I live for right now.